Oh, it's recording. Okay. So let me see. So Gloria asked, Gloria, we lost your question. So your question is, Gloria, can you tell us your question again?
Yeah, I sent you an email, but I can reread it. Just 2 seconds. Yep. So my first question was, could you remind me, please, how many questions do we have to ask for the narrative research study?
Well, I think you can ask as many as you want, but as I recall from chapter 6 notes in the Cresswell and Poth book, they say that there's a central research problem, then there's a central research question, and then there's 5 to 7 sub research questions, and then the interview questions derive from those sub research questions and research questions. Now, of course, those are supposed to be the starting points. Those research questions are supposed to be the starting points for your interviews. It's just that you should have a common set of questions you're going to ask all of your, well, this is more a case for phenomenology, right? If you're going to do a phenomenological study in which you interview like 6 to 12 people to intensively learn about their daily lived experience in terms of, well, there's all sorts of infinite number of possibilities, but what I think I recall from the textbook, like for example, what was one example was meant, what comes to mind, how do people who suffer the death of a spouse remarry? And how do they understand their relationships with their earlier relationships in their previous earlier relationships to go through the process of getting remarried to find a new spouse. So the point is, you want to get a lot of data, you want to get a lot of words from them. You want to get a lot of text because you want them to fully explain as much as possible their world lived experiences. They understand it as a phenomenon in their lives, about what it's like to go through that. And but you should still have a basic set of questions you're going to ask them all, but you're not going to stop with those questions. You want them, if they go off on a particular topic or theme, you want to let them speak. And you might even go back and have to change your interview questions if you're finding that your knowledge has changed or shaped your understanding of what you need to investigate or study more fully in order to approach that issue, in order to approach the question. And so, there should still, to reiterate that point, there should be a common set of questions, probably no more than 5 to 6 or 7 questions that you're going to ask them, all of your interviewees. But you're not going to be limited just to those questions if your interviewees want to, and you hopefully do want to talk further and explain further their experience in ways that are significant or interesting as you study what their feedback is, because that's a point made. In this qualitative research process, it's a interactive process in which it's an exploratory interactive process in which you're investigating these issues and your ideas and understanding of the concept of the phenomenon you're studying and the concepts you're applying can evolve and change in the course of doing the study and the research. What is an endpoint to this? I guess the endpoint, there's never really an endpoint. What there are, however, ultimately, and this is a theme in the textbook, is that sooner or later you got to get published. If you want to have a job as a researcher, you're going to have to get your work published. Your research and study on a topic is never going to stop. You're going to know more and more and go deeper and deeper and hopefully learn more and more and not make mistakes and go off on some unfortunate tangents, as some famous people that I can have in mind come to mind that I won't mention here in political science. But those landmarks are getting something written and submitted to a publisher, to a journal article, and then having it accepted, peer reviewed, and then by 2 anonymous peer reviewers and accepted for publication. So, but the process of, you're never going to completely understand the topic. You're going to go deeper and deeper and deeper, and then you're going to see those interrelationships with other phenomena and topics that are related to your original research question. But what I'm describing now is typically a phenomenology. Phenomenology means you interview 6 to 12 people, and you go until you gather the information from them until you get what's called data saturation, and that means you start hearing the same things over and over again from different people. That means you've reached a point where you've basically covered enough, gotten enough data that you don't need to continue to gather more data, because at some point you have to stop focusing on gathering data and start focusing on analysis and writing up the project and submitting it somewhere for review, hopefully for publication. Okay. So
Okay.
what I would say that typically now in terms of interviewees, your 2 interviewees, you probably should have, it's probably a good idea to have 5 to 7 interview questions you're going to ask both of them. But of course, if they want to go on and talk some more about related topics, and you can let them go and go ahead and let them and talk about that without leading them on or biasing them to say what you might want them to say. But then make sure that however you get through the list of questions, because you should make sure that you're careful about asking all of your interviewees some basic set of common questions, even if they go off and develop in different ways in their responses to those questions. Okay.
Okay, yeah, but I have also 2 other questions, but I think that if you answer in the mail, maybe it's easier for you because I don't know, or I can ask them now as you wish.
You can ask them now.
Okay, and I was wondering, in the introduction of the problem, you said that there was 3 sections. So I was wondering if I have to put all of my research interview question, because I plan to do about, if I can, because it's also another question. Can I take the question you submitted on Cyber Campus and those you just submitted to me on my email about the 6th chapter of Creswell and both study? You submitted an email with very useful question, and I think that Trump-Pernell's question are also super useful. So can I take them without modifying them really?
Yeah, you can. I mean, there's a creative process, and you can do with the questions. I mean, I made proposals, suggestions, but you can modify them and change them.
But can I take them like that, or is it considered as plagiarism?
Well, I mean, you hopefully, what counts is the final project, and if you find something interesting and useful, that's what counts. So, but you probably, you like I said, in this process, ideally, I think you would talk to your interviewees, at least, obviously, at least once each. But you can typically, if it's possible, you should go talk to them again, and see if your interpretation it makes sense, because you're also supposed to also share your research project results with the interviewees and let them check that anyway, to make sure that it corresponds with what they intended to say.
Okay, but with that, I have another question. In my introduction of the problem, the 3 section, that you said in the content you submitted on Cyber Campus on material, you said that 3 sections were needed, and the 3rd one was research question. So I wonder if I have to list each of my question, because I think that is going to take a lot of place.
Well, it's just, the questions should be listed, but the final project should be like 5 to 7 pages long. I mean, this is a pretty minor project, right? I mean, typically they would be longer than that, but I should know what your research questions are. Sure.
Okay. But if I have 20 questions, I mean, that will take a lot of place. So do I have to list them all?
What, your interview questions or research questions?
Yeah, my interview question.
No, you don't have to list them all. No.
But what do you mean about research question? Is that 2 different
5
things?
to 7 sub questions that relate to the central research question.
Okay, but is it like the preliminary question you asked them to submit on Cyber Campus?
Those were first draft of the research questions.
Okay. Okay, I will begin to interview and I will see, and if I have other question, I will submit it to you.
Okay, okay,
Okay, thank you very much.
okay. Bye. Bye, everyone.